with wheat first. I think so far we have seen quite a stable harvest. If you look at from the Canada, from the US, and from Russia, um, which will reach a record harvest this coming season of 88 million tons. However, for wheat, we don't see much upside from here, provided that the grain from Ukraine can come out, normalize with the grain shipping corridor that the UN, Turkey, and Russia and the Ukraine brokerate. So we don't really see much upside on wheat unless there's something that basically disturbs the grain shipment from Ukraine, and it remains to be seen whether wheat shipment from Russia, despite all that record harvest, whether it can actually come out from the country to follow the normal pace. Now on corn, I think there is still uncertainty in terms of the U.S. corn production. La Nina, which caused heat and dry weather in the U.S. Around July or even August period, I think it has reduced the yield of corn production in the U.S. And most probably this year we will see a lower corn production from the U.S. But the question is how low can it be in terms of year-on-year basis? So from now onwards, at least for the next 1 month or 2 months, I think for corn specifically, the market will trade based on weather development in the US and how the corn crop actually being produced.
But isn't there also, I suppose, the ability, if the US really wanted to, because all of the corn that goes into the ethanol production, they could just divert some of that corn into the markets? Or is that opening up a completely different can of worms when we're talking about what that could then mean in terms of inflation upside on fuel prices and the like?
Yeah, I think it's definitely an interesting topic to discuss. We don't see a much diversion of corn. In the US, in theory, they could divert, but it is less likely because ethanol demand in the US is quite stable. And with the potentially reduction of corn production in the US this coming crop year, I think the risk for price to go up is there. However, we also need to talk about the risk of inflation on whether, a reduction of consumption because of inflation, high interest rate environment, and potentially a weaker global growth outlook, and how that will impact demand for meat, for example, and that will translate to demand for corn.